Take a step aside to bring you some other breaking news. The actor Noel Clarke has lost his libel claim against the Guardian newspaper. He was suing the Guardian over articles and a podcast, including one which claimed 20 women had complained about his conduct. He was suspended from BAFTA and dropped from various productions in light of the allegations. Arts and entertainment correspondent Katie Spencer is here with us now. What more can you tell us?
He has lost his High Court libel case, is the big thing that we now know. He'd been seeking £70 million in damages. This all emerged after, in 2021, just a few weeks after he was given BAFTA's outstanding contribution to cinema. These claims emerged. The Guardian published its first article claiming that there were various allegations of women that had approached them, claiming that he had behaved badly, claims of sexual misconduct. He basically, after that, BAFTA cancelled his membership. He was unable to work again because of these claims. The Guardian went on to publish a further 8 more pieces delving into the story itself. In 2022, the police had actually said that there would be no criminal investigation over this, and I think that in part prompted then Noel Clarke to decide to take the Guardian to court. Throughout this, he has denied any wrongdoing. In the case itself, when he went to court, he spoke about believing that he felt that, yes, he could behave badly at times, but a lot of what went on in his mind was banter and had been sort of misinterpreted by the women that had made claims against him. But the judge has found that actually the Guardian was right to publish on the grounds of truth and of this being in the public interest. If you look at the judgment, which we are at the moment, they say, the judge says, the first article, there are strong grounds to believe that the claimant is a serial abuser of women and that he has over 15 years used his power to prey on and harass and sometimes bully female colleagues. Of the second article, it says, again, there are strong grounds to believe that Noel Clarke has engaged in sexual harassment and the bullying of women. The third article, it says, again, strong grounds to believe that the claimant has engaged in verbal abuse, bullying, sexual harassment, and it goes on. All of the articles that the Guardian put out, the judge has found that there are grounds of them to justify publishing those allegations, that there's strong grounds that he was involved in groping, harassment, bullying, all of the things that the Guardian went ahead and published. Noel Clarke, on his part, he claimed that he was made a scapegoat. He, in his argument through his lawyers, he spoke about the fact that these claims had come off the back of the Me Too movement and that he felt that it was the industry zealously trying to correct himself and that he was a victim of really the time that these allegations were published. But the judge clearly finding that the Guardian was right to go ahead and publish the articles as they did.
We're just hearing from Catherine Viner, Editor-in-Chief of Guardian News and Media. We welcome the decision of the High Court today in a judgment handed down by Mrs Justice Stein in the case of Clarke versus Guardian News and Media. The judge ruled in extremely clear language that the Guardian's reporting was substantially true and our belief that the reporting was in the public interest was undoubtedly reasonable. This judgment is a deserved victory for those women who suffered because of the behaviour of Noel Clarke. Going to court is difficult and stressful, yet more than 20 women agreed to testify in the High Court, refusing to be bullied or intimidated. This is a landmark judgment for Guardian journalism and for investigative journalism in Britain. Important to fight this case. Deeply researched by some of our best reporters who work diligently and responsibly. Judgment is clear, the investigation was thorough and fair, a template for public interest journalism. I hope today will give encouragement to other women in similar situations who have been too fearful to raise their voices for fear of consequences. That's Catherine Viner, Editor-in-Chief of Guardian News.
And I've just had through an official statement from Noel Clarke. His response is that today's result is disappointing. For almost 5 years, I have fought against a powerful media outlet and its extensive legal teams over inaccurate and damaging reporting. We should say the judge disagrees on that. They've found in the Guardian favour. These stories started via anonymous emails portraying me as a monster to attract attention and outrage. The goal was to damage my career, and they succeeded. I have never claimed to be perfect, but I'm not the person described in these articles. Overnight, I lost everything. The media outlet didn't just ruin my life, they ripped through my family's also. The decision today does not change the fact that inaccuracies were published. While they may have won in court, they have lost the trust that journalism depends on. Well, I would say that perhaps the opposite is the case, in that the the judge in this case has actually found that there was a public interest and that the claims that were made in these articles were substantially on the grounds of truth. They appeared to be true.
And the Guardian, understandably, it is their main and leading story on their website at the moment, and they note that they relied on testimony from almost 30 people, and as was also noted by Catherine Viner there in that statement, 18 to 20 of whom gave accounts in court.
Yeah, and we should say, actually, the women that were taken to the stand and that came to speak on the Guardian's behalf when this case went to court, they were given a real sort of grilling by the lawyers acting for Noel Clarke. They were accused of being sort of flirts and liars, and it did take a lot of bravery, really, for them to publicly stand up there and detail some of the accounts that they had of the interactions that they had with Noel Clarke. Look, I actually did a couple of weeks ago get to sit down and talk to Lucy Osborne and Shireen Cale, who were the two journalists that actually broke this story. It has been obviously years worth of legal wrangling to prove that they were right in the article and releasing it in the first place. They thoroughly researched this. They said they made sure that they had sources upon sources and were fact-checking that the stories that they had were correct. Should we hear a little bit of the interview that I had with them?
I hope that, I think that this is not a problem that's going to go away. I think that this is very much still, this kind of behaviour very much still happens in the TV and film industry and other industries. So I do hope that this judgment gives other women confidence to speak out about what they've experienced.
It strikes me that whilst a judgment is delivered, the case continues in many respects. Firstly, Clarke, who says his entire career has been destroyed, will face some pretty hefty legal bills and potentially also having to pay for the Guardian's legal bill as well. But the impact of the actions and the allegations on the women at the centre of this, that doesn't finish. Those impacts don't finish just because there's been a judgment handed down in favour of the Guardian. And so, this story, whilst the legal element might be over, the impact of it continues forever.
And you have to think, while Noel Clarke would argue that he did nothing criminally wrong in his eyes, the point is, and the justification for bringing a story like this to print is because he was such a hugely influential figure within film. And the way that he was enabled and allowed to behave sort of with impunity from the people that were around him would not be tolerated within any other workplace. If you read some of the detail of the journalist's article, various articles that they wrote detailing some of the behaviour that he carried out, it was hugely taking advantage of his position. People in very junior roles on his sets, he would be in a harassing way, sort of pressing them up against walls and what have you. And it really, I think, while it might not have been behaviour deemed to be criminal within the Met Police's eyes, certainly I think, and the Guardian have been proven right, really, in the fact that the judge has deemed that on the grounds of truth and public interest, it was right for them to publish these claims against Noel Clarke.
Breaking news this hour. Appreciate it. We'll bring you plenty more on this story on the Sky News website and Sky News app as it develops. I'm sure there'll be plenty more reaction, and we'll bring it to you as soon as we get it.